Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to day two of this Flutter Essentials. I can see the charts are really slow today. Okay, let me confirm, guys. Can you guys hear me properly? Okay, that's great. That's great. That's great then. So, good evening, guys. Good evening once again, and welcome to day two of this Flutter Essentials. I hope I'm completely audible because at my place it was sticking a little bit the video, so I hope it's fine now. Okay. So yesterday we basically understood what Flutter is. We basically understood how to set it up, right? We installed the Flutter SDK, we installed Android Studio, and then we created our own emulator. And we also ran our first app. And we also saw some basic stuff like, okay, what exactly, like how exactly the Flutter app looks like, right? What are the features in it? We also talked about what are widgets. And in Flutter, everything is a widget, right? Anything, image, even an audio, video, anything that we are going to create as elements is going to be a widget. Okay, now, as I mentioned yesterday, that Flutter, whatever it is, a library or a framework or basically a SDK, it is written in a language called Dart. Okay, so before we move ahead and start creating all the widgets and start putting a lot of programming in it, it will be very helpful if we learn a little bit of Dart beforehand. So before starting anything about Flutter directly, let's take some time around 15-20 minutes and let's go ahead and learn a basics of Dart. Just like you learn any programming language before starting anything, right? It's like you learn Java or JavaScript or anything like that. Okay, so now guys, now first of all, see, there are two options. If you want to start with Dart without your basically Flutter dependencies, either you can install a Dart compiler in your computer, just like you install C compiler or Java environment, or there is something called as, let me take a browser window here. You can just search for something called as Dartpad. And if you just go on it, see, you can see this link dartpad.dev. Just go on this link and something like this will appear. So basically now you don't have to install any extra dependency like Dart compiler in your computer. You can just practice or run Dart here. Okay. And guys, as a language, we're going to be just practicing it here because we're going to be using all that in our Flutter. Okay, so let's come here and let's see some basics like how to create variables, how does loop works, how does conditions work, all of that in here, how to create arrays, how to create objects, all of that in here. And then we can switch back to Flutter and start learning new widgets like columns and rows and a lot of amazing stuff. We'll also see how to put image. Okay, everyone, so are we ready? Can we start, guys? Are we excited for today's session, guys? Please confirm me once in the chat, show me some excitement. Okay, let's start from scratch. So guys, as I said, it's a combination of C++, JavaScript, and Java. So Dart always requires a main method. Okay. So first thing that we're going to be creating here is a void main. Without void main, Dart language can't run. Just like your C or C++, a void main method is required. Okay. So guys, first thing required is void main. Now, the first thing is let's see how to create some variables in it. Okay. So very simple. If you want to create a numeric variable, just like your C language, you have a simple int. So I can say int n equals 1. Okay. Now, if you want to print anything in Dart, the function that you have is print. And I can simply say n. That's it. And now you can just click on run. And here in the console, you can see your output. So we'll do it very quickly, guys, because it's very simple, just like all the other programming languages. So here we go. You can see your 1. Now, let's say you want to combine string with variable, right? For example, you want to print the number is n or the number is 1. So how to do that in Dart? So it's very simple, guys. First of all, if you want to print a string, it can be a single code or it can be a double code. And then you can just say the number is, if you want to print a variable, you have to apply a dollar and then n, something like this. And now you can see you'll get the number is 1. It might take a little time, and here we go. The number is 1. See that? So simply put up your string, and just like you have expression el in JavaScript, right, where you put dollar curly braces, here simply dollar and your variable name. That's it. That's how easy it is. Now let's say if you want to create a string variable, again very easy. You have a string type. You can say string name equals, let's say, let's upgrade, something like that. Okay, and then I can just go ahead and also print that. So print the name is dollar name, something like that. And here we go. Now we should get the number is 1 and the name is LetsUpgrade. Here we go. See how simple it is. Okay, you can try that, Sayak. You can try that. I normally don't use it because this is what I find very simple. But I think let's just check it. Let's just check it. We can check it. That see, so it's an error actually. That's not how we do interpolation in Dart. Dart basically allows you to do this. That's how interpolation works here. Okay. Then guys, if you want to create a float value, for that you simply have something called as double. You can have your n1 equals whatever you want, 2.3.23.2, something like that. In this case, I can just go ahead and print that as well. So n1, something like that. Here we go. Now guys, see, don't worry if you don't know any other language. If you only know basics, that's enough. Just learn it like Dart. Okay. So you have int, you have string, you have double, and that's how you print. And if you want to print a string, it always goes in double quotes. And also, if you want to interpolate any variable with the string, just use dollar, and that's it. Don't compare it with JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, compare it. But if you don't know, don't do that. Just learn it like your first language for now. Okay, so simple. You can see all the things getting here. So now guys, if you're, let's say at some day you're putting some data and you're not sure that you're going to be having an integer value or a double value, in that case, that gives you something called as num. In this case, you can just create a num type variable. So let's say num n2. Now it can hold number as well as, sorry, it can hold integer and it can also hold double value. Let me show you that. First of all, let's print n2. And you can see it printing 2. Now, if I want, I can also store 2.4 in here. And it will also hold that. And you can say 2.4. So num is the type that you should use when you're not sure you're going to be having int or float. In int, it should always be int, because if I try to perform like float here, you'll see I get an error on the spot, right? A value of type double can't be assigned to a variable of type int. Simple. So you simply have something called as num. So these are all the basic types, guys, that you might use it. Okay. Please confirm me once before we move ahead. I don't think it's lagging. I can see it fine. Okay. It's fine. Okay. That's great. Perfect, guys. So these are some basic types that you have in what do you say, Dart. Now you can also learn more about them, but these are some basic types that you're going to be using a lot of times. Now then, let's move ahead and let's talk about conditions. Now guys, conditions are exactly similar to how you write them in C and C++. Okay, conditions are exactly similar in how you write them in C and C++ or Java or JavaScript, anywhere. Okay, so simply you have a if keyword here if you want to compare. So let me just remove these variables. You can also comment them, same shortcut, control slash, if you want to comment. Let's have a variable called as, sorry, I'm using let here, so sorry about that. So I can have it. Yes, and one more thing, guys, you can also use var here. If you're not sure about the type, you can also go for var. So var is also allowed here, just like JavaScript. Okay, but I'm not using it right now. I'll use it in some time. Don't worry. So let's get an integer variable. So int num equals, let's say 10. Okay. So when you use var, that means you're not defining any type. The type of the variable will depend upon the data. So whatever data you pass, depending upon that, the type will change. That's what var is. If you mention int, it's basically for sure number. If you mention double, it's also number. If you mention num, it's number. If you mention string, it can only be a string. But if you mention var, you can store any type of data. It will be converted when you put the value. You don't have to mention any kind of type. But it's always good to mention type to save some processing time in what do you say, the programming in the particular program. Exactly, like dynamic type. Exactly. So where you also have in JS, where you also have here, but you should always go for proper typing. Okay. So now guys, let's move ahead. So if exactly same, num is less than, let's say 20. If it's true, simply I'll say print, okay, less than 20, something like that. Let's confirm that. Here we go. We should get less than 20 because yeah, 10 is less than 20. And we should get it. Yep, here we go. Less than 20. And just like that, if this condition is wrong, will get nothing in this case, because num, I'm putting num, my num is 10, I'm putting num greater than 20. That's completely wrong, and we should get that. And here we go, nothing is here. So now, right now, this if is only working if the condition is true. But if the condition is false, guys, what we have to use if I want to do something when condition is false, we have to use something called as else, right? Sir, how much Dart knowledge? I think basics are enough. Basic Dart is enough. You don't have to like learn complete Dart. Just the basics, like how arrays look like, how objects look like, basic class logic. That's enough to start with Flutter. So actually, what am I showing you here is also enough. But yeah, you can also just go ahead and practice a little bit of classes and all that. So basic knowledge is enough. You don't have to go like too much. You know conditions, you know looping, you know list, you know objects, you know how to create classes, you know how to create functions. That's enough. You don't have to learn data structure and algorithms to start with Flutter. No, you don't need that. Trust me, you don't need that. Okay, basic arrays, you know, that's enough, because by using Flutter, you're mostly going to create UI, right? You're mostly going to create UI. You're not doing a lot of calculation and all that stuff. Is that cleared? Okay. Okay, so now guys, let's move ahead. Let's put an else here, and let's also go ahead and put a print. Okay, and just like put here false condition, something like that, or false output, something like that. And now in this case, we should get false output. So here we go, run, and sorted, false output. Okay, so where, how can we give custom input? Because we are using Flutter, so we are basically going to create our input field right in there. So no need to worry about that. Our backends also, no, you don't create backends with Flutter. No, Flutter is completely a UI development, what do you say, SDK. Okay, for backend, you might have Node.js, you might have PHP, you can use any other language to create backend. You can use Java, whatever you want. Like if you want, you can just mention dollar $num less than 20. Okay, something like that. And here you can just put dollar $num greater than 20, something like that. Okay. Sorry, here I have to put greater, and here I have to put less if it is basically false. So if it is greater than 20, I'll put greater than 20, otherwise less than 20. Yeah, same thing, nothing big. So guys, that's how you can simply put a normal if and else. Okay, now you also have multiple if here, switch case here, just like you have in every other language. So you can use it here. So you can just go ahead, and if you want to put, you can just put an else if, and then you can just put your condition here. So I can put, let's say, one more condition. So let's do this. Let's call it marks. Okay, or you can call it percentage. So marks, let's say we put 75 here. So now I can just go here and put if marks is greater than 70. Okay, so I can just go here. Sorry, marks. I can just go here and put, okay, A grade for dollar marks, something like that. And I can just go here now. If marks is greater than 50, I can say B grade for dollar marks. And finally, if all the conditions fail, so right now I only have two, but you can now have 3, 4, 5 like that. Just if, else if, else if, else if. And finally, I can have a simple else. So if it is less than 50, I'm just going to print fail. So print, just have fail, something like that in here. And now should be it. So now in this case, we should get A grade for dollar marks. That is 75 marks. And here we go. A grade for 75 marks. So that's how you can do it. That's how simple it is. You also have switch, and it works exactly similar. So now guys, see, if you're coming from a C and C++ background, you might be finding it very easy because it's exactly same. Nothing is changing here, right? Almost everything is completely same. So let me show you how to use switch here. So let me remove this if and else now, and let's try to understand the switch statement, or let me just comment it so that it's there. Why writing marks 2 times and fail 1 time? See, this is the variable marks and this is just a text marks. See, Tinku, so for this dollar marks I'm getting 75, and for this marks I'm just getting marks. So this is just a hard coded string. This is a variable. It's just a coincidence that both of their names are same, but it's fine. It's just a string and it's just my variable name. So if I want, I can change it, right? I can call it, so don't get confused. I can call it percentage. So I can just put PER. It's just a variable name, nothing else. So I just have to replace it everywhere because now I don't have, right? So I can just have it like this. Simple. Whatever you want to print, you can print it. Okay. Fail 1 time because I just wanted to put fail. If I want to put fail on dollar PER marks, it's up to me, right? Whatever I do inside if and else, it's up to you. There's no fixed way like, okay, you should also always follow this. It's not like that. So for all the new programmers, guys, it's up to you whatever you want to do in if and else. Okay, now guys, let's move ahead. Okay, now guys, let's move ahead and let me show you the switch statement as well. Okay, so let's go and let's start. So let's create a variable called as int, whatever you want. So let's call it status equals 1 initially. Okay, so now then let's go ahead. Now, so this is something that you cannot do in switch. Now let me show you switch. So let's say status is 1. Just go ahead and put switch. Okay, spelling mistake. Switch, and I put my status here. Okay, so just put the variable that you want to check. And then in here, can simply write cases. Case is nothing but just check. Like if I write case 23, just this case 23 will run if status is 23. So case 23, and then whatever you want to do when the status is 23. So for example, I do print first class. Let's call it first class, something like that. So now if the value of status becomes 23, this case will run and it will print first class. So it goes like that. So I can have multiple cases. So I can have case 34. It's not like it should always go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's up to you. Okay. So you can just go here and okay. Did I make a mistake? Oh, yes. Don't think I need a semicolon here. Okay. So print, I can have, it's a second class, something like that. So let's say if case is 1, I want to print first class. If case is 2, I want to print second class, something like that. Okay. I'm mistaking something here. The case shouldn't complete. I know that error. I know that error. That's completely fine. It's forcing me to do it, but I wanted to show you. So guys, see, every case should have a break statement. Every case that you create should have a break statement. Why? I'll tell you. No, now see, I also wanted to show you what happens without break, but that pad is not allowing me to do that. That's why I was not writing it, but now let me mention it. Okay, so let's say if case is 10, I want to print first class, and if case is 20, I want to print second class. And just like that, if case is 30, I want to print third class. And if none of the cases satisfy, so for that, you can simply write default, and you can simply have default is just like else. So print, call it general, something like that. Now let me tell you guys, why do you need a break? Because by default, in switch case, what happens? Let's now, if I, for example, see guys, first of all, what is happening here? My status is 1. So it will check switch case 10. Is my status 10? No. Move ahead. Case 20. Is my status 20? No. Move ahead. Case 30. Is my status 30? No. Move ahead. It will simply go to default. Now in this case, you'll see it will print general. See that? Because my 1 doesn't match 10, 20, or 30. Now if I just go here and put 20 and run, it should print second class in this case. Here we go. See that? Now, normally what happens, guys, if you don't put break, what happens? By default, this is how switch case behaves. If I don't put break in here, okay, in any case, so whatever case is correct, that is executed, and the case after it is also executed. Okay, whatever case is correct is executed, and because there was no break, the next case is also executed. That's why in switch case, it's always important to put break. That means, okay, fine. Okay, so bad. Yep. I hope my code is here. What happened? I think I clicked somewhere by mistake. I can't get my code back now. Okay, let me write it quickly. Let me write it quickly. So integer status. Don't laugh on me. I'll just do it very quickly. Actually, I pressed the button in my mouse. There is a back button in my mouse, and I just pressed it. That's so bad. I should have saved it once at least. So switch status. I'll do it very quickly, guys. Just wait for a minute. I'll show you. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave it. Case 10 again. Print first class and break. Let me copy and paste and quickly get back to whole data. And yes, the main thing, void main. Happens, fine, completely okay. Case 20, and here we go, case 30. Let me just put second here, and let me just put third here. And finally, default. We'll simply print general. And yep, just yep. So guys, that's how it works. Simply, I think, yep, here we go. Okay. So if you don't put break, what will happen is, if your case is correct, so let's say in this case, case 20. So if this 20 case is correct, and if I don't have this break, this case will execute, and it will also forward to next case. That's what happens in switch case by default. It is called as fall through in switch statement. I think fall through or fallout, something was the word. So that's what this, what do you say, this whole idea is called. That's why you should always have a break in switch statement, so that once a case executes, the switch case should break and ended. Okay, guys. So that's why it's very important to put break. And see, normally all the other programming languages allow it, but here it is directly showing me error that no, without break you cannot write it. So that's cool. I hope you have understood. So is it clear, guys? Everyone done with switch? Understood how switch works? Let's move ahead now, and let's see how to execute loops here. Okay, very important. Let's go, guys. Let's go and let's see. So guys, again, loop is exactly same like your C, C++ and JavaScript loop, exactly similar. So I can just have like a variable. Okay, so integer I equals, let's say initially 1, and again same, while I is less than, let's say 10, I can simply go ahead and print my I can say I plus plus, something like that. Okay, now it should print I from 1 till 9 because I have put less than 10, right? So in this case, if I just print it, I should get 1 till 9. Here we go. See that? 1 till 9. If I want till 10, I can either go less than 11 or I can go less than equal to 10. Simply. So just like any programming language, guys, nothing new. Okay, so that's how you simply write a while loop. Now don't worry, when we use it in Flutter, I'll show you how to use it. Don't worry. If at all it is needed, mostly it will not be needed in Flutter because we have a lot of amazing constructors there that we can use. But I just wanted to show you. This is like while, guys. You also have do while. Don't forget that. Okay. Till I'm moving it, can anyone tell me the difference between while and do while in the chat? Come on, guys. Can you guys tell me the difference between while and do while in the chat? Let me see if you guys know it or not. Come on, guys, quickly. What's the difference between while and, I know it's a very basic question, but still, let's do some fun. What's the difference between while and do while, everyone? Please tell me quickly. Let me see if I get any answers here. Yes, guys, all the answers are correct. That in while, the condition is checked first and then the code is executed. That's why while is also called as entry control loop. And in do while, the execution happens first because you can see there is no condition, and condition is checked at the end. So in this case, it will be similar. You can see it's still 1 to 10. Okay, it will just give you 1 to 10. But in any case, if my condition was wrong, for example, I have int I equals to 16. Now, if I see this, I know that my condition is initially wrong. My I is 16 and I'm checking for I is less than equal to 10. I know that my condition is wrong on the spot for the first time only. But still, my do while at least executes for one time. You can see. Okay, so that's the difference between do while and while. Okay, and for some people who don't know like where these things are, like you might think, right, like okay, if while and do while are kind of same, why do I have two different loops? So let me tell you, there are a lot of cases where you want to execute your code first and then check the condition. There are a lot of cases. For example, in gaming applications, you play the game first and then it asks you, do you want to continue or not? If you continue, it will continue the loop, otherwise it will exit the loop. So that's one case, right? You first perform the operation and then the condition is checked. So whenever you have something like this where you want to perform operation first and check the condition, and based on the condition you want to go back or not, so this feature, right, based on yes or no, do you want to go back or not, that's where do while comes into play. So that's where do while is very, very important. Wherever you see this, right, you do something, something happens and it asks you, do you want to continue this, do you want to play again, do you want me to do this again, think that there is a do while there. You keep saying yes, it will keep running. You keep saying yes, it will keep running. Okay, so that's one example of do while, guys. You cannot, like, you can also achieve it in while, but normally do while is made for this thing. Okay, so now then, guys, the last and the favorite loop that we always have, what is that, everyone? The loop where the syntax is much more beautiful than while and do while, that is for, which is exactly similar to while in terms of working, right? So I can have while, sorry, for int I equals 1. That's the best part, right? Everything is at one place. So I is less than equal to, let's say, 10 and I plus plus. Okay, and simple. I can just go here and print the I like that. Run. And we should have again same 1 to 10. So while and for are kind of same, but normally whenever we want to perform normal looping, we trust for a lot. We use for a lot because it's syntactically better, right? It looks better. So that's why while is avoided and for is used a lot. Okay, actually for is used a lot. While and do while both are normally avoided, but whenever you have a certain situation, in that case you might go for while and do while. But for is like something that is used always by everyone. So guys, those are the three basic loops that you have in Dart, which is exactly similar to all the other languages, so nothing new. Okay, now then, let's talk about the second last thing for Dart. That is going to be how to create an array here. Let's see how to create an array in Dart. Okay, and here we have to use something called the list type to create an array. We have to use something called as a list. So I can have list names equals, put square brackets and just start putting values. So let me just put your names, Harshit, right? And then I can have, say, Hassan. The syntax of Dart is almost similar with any other programming language. Okay. So I'll also put Nishant here. Here we go. So that's how you can simply create a list here, guys. And I think I made a mistake. I think list L should be capital post. Mostly, yep. L should be capital in the list. And that's it. Now, just like a normal array. So now, guys, here we go. We have a names array. And just like any other array, how do we do it, guys? How do we access the elements of an array? By indexing, right? And the index of array, we know that always starts from 0. So here we go, names of 0. And it should print Harshit in this case. So let's go and see that. And here we go, Harshit. I can just go ahead and put 1, and I should also get Hassan in this case. And Hassan. But we know, right? Normally, whenever we want to work with arrays, we never work like this. We always use loops, right, guys? In all the languages. So same thing here. We can just go and just put our for integer I equals 0 because we want to start from 0 because index starts from 0. I is less than equal to 2 because this is on 0, then 1, and then 2, and then I plus plus. And that's it. here I can go and just do print names of I, and that should be done. And here we go. You should see it. Here we go. Harshit, Hassan, Nishan. All the names printed. So you can always use a proper loop in this case. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? Simple and easy stuff. Okay. So that's how you can simply create a list. And now, guys, as you can see, we are almost on time. So I also want to teach you some Flutter today. I don't want to only go ahead with Dart. So let me teach you the last thing. Now, guys, see, I am giving you all the basics about Dart. I'm not saying that I'm teaching you the whole Dart, but you can use it as a basics. Now you at least understand that Dart is exactly similar to all the other languages that you have learned. So if you want to learn more about Dart, you can still go online and see a little more about it. Because our main aim here is to learn Flutter. But I hope these basics are enough. Now you know what Dart is and you can easily understand. Right? Everyone? Okay. Now then, let's see the final thing. And yes, there is a for each. Yes, Aditya, for your question, buddy, there is a for each. There is, you can see that there is names dot, you can see for each, something like that you have here. And here you can just have your function like this. Okay, so there is for each. So you can just do a little bit of research on it and it's there. So you can always go ahead and use something like this. So if I just go here and print A, you can see, yep, the exact same thing. So this A is having one of the elements at one time. So if you know for each, that's how you simply use it. Is that cleared? So yes, for each is there, guys. So again, let me just see what does it do if I just do two prints. I feel like normally if you do want to print it one line, you can use the single print, right? I feel so. Possibly. You can just use one single print, right? In that case. Even I have to check that. Because normally I didn't focus it on that much. By default, it prints it like this. And again, it's a Dartpad console. So even I need to check if it also works for a normal like Dart console. So even we have to check it once. Because I don't know in Dartpad it is doing like this, but how does it behave in a normal Windows console? So you can check that out once. Just install Dart compiler and run it in your OS and you can see that. Okay. So now guys, let's move ahead and let's see one last thing that I want to show you is how to create kind of like objects in Dart. Okay. So let me just keep it for now. And why I'm using let again and again, I'll tell you because I work a lot with JavaScript. That's why my habit is to by default write let. Always, no matter what, I always write let. So here we go. To create an object, guys, because there is no fixed type, so you have to go for var. And var, you can call it, let's say, person. Okay. And here we go. Here it is called as a tuple, but you know that if you're from JavaScript, what this is called? It is called as an object. Right here it is called as a tuple. In Python also, I think it's called like dictionary, maybe dictionary or tuple, something like that. It's called in Python. So person can have a name. So let me put Saurabh here. And person can also have an age. So let me put 26 here. And you can have something like that. Okay. Okay. The value of the local variable person isn't used. Did I make a mistake here? Let's see what mistake I'm making here. This is no example. What mistake I'm making here? Undefined name, correcting the name to that is defining the name. What mistake am I making here? Let's see. Tuple in Dart. Let's just confirm that, guys. Even I want to see what mistake I'm making here. Let's see. No. Because I don't want to leave it like this. So object in Dart. No, not without classes. Without class. Dictionary, yes, yes. It's called dictionary in here as well, yes. That's what happens when you work a lot with JavaScript. Yep. Let's see. I think of it like always an object. See, so it's correct, right? So what mistake am I making then? See? Oh, maybe it should putting it like a string. Okay, that's the problem. Possibly. Let's see. Is it like this? Okay, guys. So that was the problem. Amazing. So see, it happens when you work with a lot of programming languages. It happens. So I'm always used to JavaScript a lot. So cool. So don't forget, guys, double quotes in your property names and as well. And here it is called as JavaScript, not as tuple. Sorry, it is called as dictionary, just like Python dictionary. In JavaScript, we call this an object. Cool. But now, guys, access is a little different. Okay, you have to access it like an array structure. Okay, like this, because it's not an object; it's a dictionary. So you cannot use dot. JavaScript allows it, but Dart doesn't allow it. Dart understands that it's not an object; it's a dictionary. So you have to use it like an array. So Persian of name. So you can just print it. Okay, I made a silly mistake, guys. Now, but now you understand. Now, here we go. Now we should get Saurabh in this case. And here we go. See that? So you can just access person.age like that as well. Is it clear, guys? Don't call it an object, call it a dictionary here. Don't call it an object, guys. Please. I call it object because I have a habit of using JavaScript. So, guys, is it clear, everyone? All set? That were the basics of Dart that we need for this particular Flutter course. And I think that's also enough for your Flutter journey as well. But you can also learn some more things along the way while working with Flutter. Okay. So hopefully now we are clear with basics of Dart. Now we know how to create variables, how to create arrays, lists, how to for each it, how to perform loops, conditions, and all that basic stuff. So let's go ahead, and you can see we don't have a lot of time today, but still let's use our next 10 minutes to learn some basic widgets. Okay. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and let's see few more things. So let me just close that pad and let's get back to our app, everyone. You can see this is what we created yesterday, right? So let me run this. And I think by default, it will run on web or Windows. It will create a Windows app. I don't want that. Let me just change it. I want to open my emulator. So let's start the emulator quickly. And here we go, guys. I hope you guys remember this app, everyone. So now, guys, today, let's talk about some more widgets. Okay, let's talk about some more widgets. So yesterday we saw how to get a basic stateless widget. Now we know that our screen here is also a widget. Inside that, this material app is also is a widget which is giving up the screen theme. Then you have this scaffold, which is one of the most used screen creators or screen widgets. So it creates this screen. It gives you features like app bar and this floating action button. So you can see scaffold has a property called as app bar, in which we pass the app bar widget. Okay, now then let's move ahead and let's talk about some more things. Okay, so let me remove this text from body and let's see what is a container in Flutter. Now guys, see, if you have ever learned HTML, container is just like a div. Think of container like a div. So you might have seen, right, div, just like that, container. So let's create a container widget here. So container. Now let me show you. Create a container. Now go inside that widget and it has properties like height. So I can give height of 200, as width. So I can give width of 200, and it also have color. So I can give color. Now guys, see, wherever you give color, if you want to give your own custom color, there is a way of doing it. I'll show you how to do that tomorrow. Don't worry. But for now, you have to use the inbuilt color. So you have to go like colors dot and see, you get all these options. See all of this? I can give like black 26. Okay, so it's basically a shade of black. And let's run this. So guys, F5 is the shortcut. Once you open your emulator, just press F5 and it will start running. Don't forget, guys, F5 is the shortcut. Again, it's the first time, so it will take a little time. Last thing, container, that's it. Last. फिर सारी बातें कल करेंगे, टेंशन मत लो. Container last आज के लिए. Okay, guys, can you guys see it? Everyone, can you see this box? So that's what a container is. It is exactly similar to what you have like div. Okay. Now you can also give it padding, margin, just like you do in HTML. Okay. So to do that, container also has a margin property. I can use margin, but we don't use it like HTML. Here we have something called as edge insets. We have to use something called as edge insets, and inside that you can pass the value. So I can pass edge insets dot all 20. That means from all side, give it a margin of 20. Save it, and you can see, right, 20 margin here, 20 margin here. So that's what you can do. Okay, so it has padding. Don't worry. Now we'll see all of that tomorrow. So tomorrow it's all about layouting, guys. Tomorrow it's all about layouting, creating different components. So tomorrow I'll show you how to work with containers. Tomorrow we'll work with what do you say, columns, rows, layouting, icons, buttons, images. Tomorrow is completely all about layouting. So guys, as I always say, in every essential, third day is the most important day. Skip, first of all, you should never skip a day. But even if you skip a day, it should not be your third day. Third day is the most important day. So for this essential as well, third day is the most important day. Tomorrow we'll see how to put images, how to create buttons, right? How to create columns, rows, icons, all of that. So tomorrow is all about layouting. So don't miss it. And also tell your friends who want to learn Flutter. Okay. Okay. So for everyone, guys, in HTML also, you should know this, that margin is never a gap. It looks like a gap because it's invisible. Say, for example, this is an element. Okay. Now, if you give this element a 30 pixel margin, okay, let's say this is the element. If you give this element a 30 pixel margin, at every side, a 30 pixel size is added. Understand, but this size is invisible. That's why it looks like you created a gap, but it's not a gap. It's a 30 pixel size. Is that clear? It's an extra size added to the element. So margin is always extra size. It's just, it doesn't have any color. That's why it looks like a gap. So don't forget that. So in this case, guys, 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 pixel, 20 pixel is added. You cannot see the right and bottom one because there is nothing. It's all white. That's why you can't see it. You can see the top and bottom because there was an end here. Right? So that's the basic psychology, how it works. Like, it's an illusion. But understand, 20 is on all sides, and it's the extra size. Margin is not gap, not space. It's an extra size. It's invisible. That's why it looks like space. Clear, guys? Never forget. Then you have padding, right? Padding is also extra size. But always remember that padding has color. Margin doesn't have color, but padding has color. That's the difference between margin and padding. That's how it works in HTML. That's how it works in Flutter. That's how it works everywhere. The concept of margin and padding. Never forget that.